Now, understandably, Big DURK hasn't done a lot of press or media over the course of his life. I learned a lot of background information about him from his excellent interview with Cred Talks on the Chicago Cred YouTube channel. That video is well worth a watch in its entirety. I suggest you go and check it out in your own time. And while we're on the topic, Chicago Cred are an amazing organization aiming to reduce gun violence in the city of Chicago through street outreach, coaching, counseling, workforce development, advocacy, and prevention. I think they're doing a really amazing thing, and I just want to highlight that organization before we get further into this video, and also because I'm going to be referencing their interview with Big DURK quite a lot in this video. Anywho, Big DURK grew up tough in the mean streets of Inglewood in Chicago. His mother was unfortunately hooked on dope when he was young, with his family eventually becoming homeless. With 9 siblings, including several older brothers who were locked up when he was a child, he found himself becoming the man of the house at around only 12 years old.
Because to see your mother on drugs, is a hard thing as a youngster. She had 10 children. My older brothers being locked up, this is a family that no stranger to the penal system. So they was locked up, so they kind of at a young age, we talking 12, 13, you got to stand up and be the man of the house and watch over your mama.
And Big DURK truly did have to man up. Being a young man coming up tough in the mean streets of Chicago's Inglewood can't have been easy. But in the same breath, Big DURK was able to navigate these mean streets well, because in his own words, the danger in the area was also a source of excitement for him growing up.
Coming up in Inglewood was hard and exciting at the same time. You seeing all the hustlers, you seeing the women of the night, you seeing the guys gambling. You got the after hour joints, you got a lot of things going on out there. Because I knew if I sit there and watch them long enough, it was just like TV. Someone in the end gonna get shot, someone gonna get stabbed, someone gonna get whooped, because in the end, someone is gonna be cheap.
So a teenage Dante Banks was quickly becoming an expert in all things street in Inglewood. But eventually, the day would come where he would have to hop off the porch and get into the game himself. And thankfully, he had a female cousin in the dope game that was able to put him on at a young age. He secured his first pack, which he says turned him into a man, and it was this moment when he transformed from Dante Banks into Big DURK.
I went to her and said, I need some work. She gave me an 8-ball, and I took that 8-ball from Dante Banks to what you know right now to be Big DURK.
So, Big DURK was in the game, simply beginning as a small-time slanger on the corner, but deep down, Big DURK knew that he was a natural-born leader. And even all of his peers in school knew that he was the one moving big-time dope at a young age. And so with that reputation, it didn't take long for the big gangsters in the area to eventually hear about what he was up to. And apparently, the gangster disciples, or GDs, that ran the area would go into local high schools and see which kids were moving the most work, lining up the young dope boys and picking the most serious ones to enter the organizational structure of the GDs. With these experiences being Big DURK's first entry point into the underworld of Chicago gangs.
So they sent a guy up to Robeson, up to the high school. This is the head GDs, right? At the time, I don't know nothing about them. And he said, hey man, I'm around here and I want to know from around here. We want to organize this area here and we want to know who is the most influential guy amongst y'all. And they all said DURK and Bible. And then Bible said, well, I don't have much influence, and they told me that they wanted me to be the shot caller for that neighborhood.
So DURK was put on as the shot caller of his neighborhood, quickly rising up the ranks of Chicago's feared gangster disciples. And at a certain point, Big DURK said that he had gotten so far in the dope game that he couldn't continue running things at this level of seriousness without getting an opportunity to meet the man at the very top. We're talking about the leader and founder of the gangster disciples, Larry Hoover. Now, if you watched my earlier video about the origins of the Black disciples and gangster disciples in Chicago, then you'll know that despite getting locked up in the 70s and being sentenced to over 150 years in prison for murder, for decades, Larry Hoover continued to run the GD empire from behind the wall. And Big DURK explained that he was moving up in the ranks of the GD so fast that the senior members of the gang approved his request to meet Larry Hoover in person. So Big DURK would go and visit him personally in jail and begin to build a relationship with the mythical mastermind at the very top of the food chain.
So they said, okay, and they set up the meeting, and I got a chance to meet him, and we clicked on from then on. It was a beautiful relationship. But when you see him, he's humble, he's meek, he's intelligent. This is talent being wasted in here, man.
So Big DURK was truly connected. A high-ranking GD with a personal relationship with Larry Hoover, a reputation that rang heavy in the streets of Chicago, and a dope slanging operation that was apparently booming 24/7, 7 days a week. The money was coming in fast, and Big DURK was truly living the high life. In fact, many years later, his son Lil Durk would say himself that seeing his father's street-gotten wealth would inspire him to want to ball just like his daddy.
I ain't gonna lie, I want to be just like him. Yeah, all the cars, All the bitches, all the furs, all the clothes. I'm like, damn, I look just like him.
Big DURK said himself that he thought his success in the streets would never end because his operation ran like clockwork and he felt that he was always a step ahead of the police.
I'm on the street 24/24. The police only on the street 8 hours. There's no way they can stop what I'm doing, and I control more time and more territories than they can cover. So I don't never think that it was going to be a stopping point, not unless I got tired of doing it.
However, unfortunately for Big DURK, every good dope slanging operation eventually does have to come to an end. And soon a series of small mistakes and compromises would see the feds swooping in on the operation, bringing Big DURK and his associates down, as well as exposing for the whole world to see the enormous scale of the operation that he had built up. Now, public court documents actually break down the entirety of Big DURK's operation in excruciating detail. Allegedly, Big DURK's 24/7 dope slanging operation was entirely headed up by DURK himself at the top of the pyramid. He was described in court papers specifically as the primary organizer of a crack cocaine empire that operated between 1991 and 1993, with it being said that Big DURK himself would personally secure bricks of pure coke from suppliers, breaking them down and cooking them into crack in the stove of his own personal home and breaking down the resulting rocks into many $10 dime bags. And from there, Big DURK used underlings to create a huge operation, moving rocks around the clock, organizing workers into shifts, and making so much cash he actually had to employ people just to count it. Beneath DURK in his organization was his top lieutenant Robert Shipp, along with enforcers Mario Dunlop or Dunlap, depending on which documents you're reading, and another enforcer named Alton Mills. Frankly, DURK was running a tight operation and he hadn't expected things to come crashing down quite so quickly. But the operation would fall apart in 1993 when Big DURK tried to delegate coke and cash exchanges to his own cousin Tosha Woods, who ended up flipping on the gang and snitching, with that fact made even more crazy by the fact that it was revealed that she was even dating one of DURK's enforcers, Mario Dunlop. Anywho, once the feds got wind of Big DURK's operation, they begun to tail one of his enforcers, Alton Mills, aka Big O. At one point, cops would try and pull him over, resulting in a high-speed chase where Big O allegedly had thrown half a kilo of dope out of the window of the car. And one of the craziest things about this is that pack was never actually recovered by the police. Apparently they didn't really have anything on Big O. Problem is, soon after that incident occurred, the cops were then able to intercept Big DURK on a phone call where he said several incriminating things on the very same day as that police chase where Big O had tossed half a kilo out of the car. Literally a day after that happened, Big DURK was heard by the feds on a call saying the following incriminating things. Somebody said Big O had the candy, right? Now he's at the 61st precinct. DURK said, what the fuck is he doing there? Somebody said, got candy? Taking that candy down there? He's only down there because he was driving crazy. Someone said, you know what I'm saying? He ate the candy. See what I'm saying? He got rid of the candy. He didn't want no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm waiting for him to get out so I can see what's up with the candy. Big DURK says, you check on him? Somebody says they went down there. And DURK says, is he charged with reckless driving? They said, yeah, you know what I'm saying? He could lose it. And DURK says, who got him? Blue and white? And they said, yeah, I want to know if I can get the candy because he was the only one who knew where the candy was at so I can get it to the kids. DURK was basically on the phone with his team the day after one of his enforcers had been picked up by the cops and thrown half a brick out the window, talking about where's the candy? And unfortunately for DURK, it didn't take Sherlock Holmes to work out what the candy they were referring to was. And apparently only 4 days after this unfortunate phone conversation went down, the FBI swooped in on a storage unit that Big DURK's crew was using to store 10 bricks and $1 million in cash, with the cops quickly charging DURK and his associates with conspiracy to distribute cocaine. And the cops built the conspiracy case against DURK even further, relying on the fact that after being arrested himself, he had also been heard on phone calls telling his underlings to stay in school, referring to not snitching. The court would go on to say that their drug ring had moved around 20 kilos of crack in a 2-year period, with alternative testimony from suppliers suggesting that around 49 kilos had been involved in the entire conspiracy, and that number would go up even further later once more information was gathered on DURK's suppliers. But regardless of how many bricks were involved, as a result of the huge scale of this operation, Big DURK was facing a mandatory minimum of 30 years, with him ultimately being sentenced to life in prison at the young age of 25. Big DURK himself said that the indictment only referred to a 9-month period where he had allegedly moved so much dope through the streets of Chicago that the court literally had no choice but to throw the book at him.
But the bottom line word is unbelievable that you can sentence a person to life in jail. And they saying that the conspiracy that they would sentence me to life in jail for only lasted 9 months. What you gonna sentence me for? We saying that you sold so much drug in 9 months that you don't need to be on the street no more.
It was even reported in the news that the judge didn't even want to hand down such a harsh sentence on DURK, but compulsory guidelines associated with crack cocaine had his hands tied, with some people going on to point out that to get the same sentence for powdered cocaine, you would have had to move around 1,500 kilos. And it's this kind of thing why people think that the drug laws unfairly punish hard dope much worse than powdered dope, with many suggesting that these rules are inherently racist, disproportionately punishing and affecting the black community more than others.
What you're seeing is that crack cocaine, 1 gram of crack cocaine equals 100 grams of powder. That's what they saying. Crack was much harder sentence, a much harder drug, so they sentenced you more harder for crack than they did powder cocaine.
However, Big DURK wasn't the only one in the operation to have had the book thrown at him. The Chicago Tribune reported that 4 dealers associated with this case were handed full-blown life sentences. Even Big DURK's girlfriend ended up getting 10 years, but the harsh sentence delivered by the court would be made even more shameful by the fact that DURK and his crew ended up getting snitched on by the plugs that were selling them bricks, who pled guilty and turned state's witness, apparently only getting 11.5 and 8 years respectively, after admitting to the court that they had apparently sold Big DURK a whopping 85 bricks over a 2-year period. 85 bricks, that is crazy. I mean, isn't that just crazy? The fact that Big DURK's plugs were able to sell him 85 bricks and then flip on him, getting even lighter sentences than the person beneath them who they were supplying through the whole operation. It's crazy. Just goes to show you how unfair and dirty the dope game truly is. So, Big DURK was hauled off for a life in jail, leaving Lil Durk only a few months old with no father figure in his life. But fortunately, decades down the line, there would be a glimmer of hope, as Lil Durk would go on to make something of himself, and Big DURK would eventually get a second chance at life. If you thought that Big DURK's time as a big dog shot caller was over when he went to jail, you'd be mistaken. Because if anything, it sounded like there was more gang activity going on in prison than in the streets.
What you got in the federal system, you got everybody together because they have a coalition. You don't have just no one GDs, no BDs, no vice lord. Y'all are all one up in there.
However, fortunately for Big DURK, he wouldn't be gang banging or causing violence during his time inside, because apparently whilst incarcerated, he did a whole lot of reading and ended up converting to Islam. In fact, according to another inmate named Murder, who spent time in jail with Big DURK, he ended up taking a leadership position in the Muslim community in prison, and was even known to press people around the jail for not carrying themselves correctly and in accordance with rules of the faith.
So, and this is one thing about Big DURK. Like, he had a lot of problems here and there with different brothers in the community, but I'm gonna tell you something, every time he had a problem with a brother, it was never over no BS, it was always over, he was trying to get them to practice the religion in the way that it was supposed to be practiced.
Fortunately, whilst in jail, he was regularly visited by his sons Lil Durk and D-Thang, with Lil Durk saying that he would visit his father regularly, phone him every day, and put money on his books.
Do you talk to him a lot?
Yeah, I talk to him every day. He's straight, you know what I'm saying? I send him letters, send him pictures, books are good.
You put money on his books?
Yeah, I put money on all my guys' books.
You could tell Big DURK was a proud father, and he said that from the day his son Lil Durk was born, he knew that his son was destined for greatness.
And in fact, he was the only of my children out of the 5 children that I actually delivered personally. I told his mama, I said, this boy here gonna be great.
Well, little did he know just how right he would be. It's no secret that Lil Durk was inspired by his father's background in the street. Lil Durk actually told DJ Vlad that his father was caught with $8 million in cash, and seeing his father with big money motivated him to be just like him.
One of the other interviews, you said that your dad was caught with like $8 million, 6 bricks?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to be just like him. Said 8 million, shit.
From this clip, it's clear that Lil Durk was more impressed with the financial success of his father rather than the street credentials or violence of running an illegal operation. Even as a young man, Lil Durk was smart enough to realize that a life of crime wasn't the way to make and keep millions of dollars, with Lil Durk being smart enough to realize that rapping would be another way to get to that goal.
So when they took him down, he got locked up. I started looking like, damn. You know, I'm young, so I'm like, I thought it was right. I just started rapping, trying to shit out, so it turned out I had B. It's funny to him now.
Big Durk himself said that he would constantly give his sons advice, telling Lil Durk to stay out of the streets and focus on the music.
I give my sons advice all the time, and they listen too, they take heed to the advice, they soak it in. My son is not on that type of time, and he's not doing those type of things. My son is on time where he's trying to better himself and make a living in his as an artist. That's why he moved out to Atlanta, So he's not on that type of time right there.
Lil Durk would go on to say that his father was proud of what he achieved and described how his dad would witness his success from prison.
He feel good, you know what I'm saying? He see me on BT with the This Ain't What You Want. He sent me all the magazines, little articles about what's going on.
And as Lil Durk rose up through the ranks as a rapper, he would show love to his father in songs, referencing him and his plugs snitching on him in his breakout anthem, This Ain't What You Want, as well as tweeting things about his dad like saying that he was real for not snitching. Durk also addressed his relationship with his father in a 2017 interview on The Breakfast Club, where he claimed that the feds actually wanted Big Durk to snitch on Larry Hoover himself.
My father's been in jail 22 years. I rock with him, you know what I'm saying, every day, talk to him on the phone. I was going to visit him. He had a big name in the street, so it's like he was here. They ain't even catch him on drugs. Though. They locked him up because he ain't snitch on Larry Hoover. I know
it's everywhere.
He used to track phones. I gotta get him on point with iPhones, all types of shit.
And Big Durk even appeared personally on Lil Durk's 300 Days, 300 Nights mixtape in a jailhouse recording where he said the following. This Durk, better known on the south side of Chicago and throughout the Midwest as Lil Durk's father. As it started out, I had a life sentence for the stooge pigeons who told on me. I've been doing that time for 22 years now, but by the grace of Allah, I got that blessing and won the appeal. Now I'll be out in a few years to be with my boy, to be with my sons, be where I'm supposed to be in life and do the things I'm supposed to do as a father. As always, for those who's in the struggle, those who's in the system, for those who in the state system, keep your head up, keep fighting. Rats don't never win over real dudes. So keep your head up, soldier. We gon' keep on letting this thing continue to flow and we'll get out and do what we're supposed to do as men, hold down our own and be the fathers we supposed to be the men of the community we supposed to be. Yes, in this recording, Big Durk revealed that apparently he had won an appeal that would allow him to eventually get out of jail, avoiding serving his entire life behind bars. And Lil Durk would elaborate on his father's life sentence being commuted in his Breakfast Club interview, saying that a rule change in Chicago law, combined with an appeal, meant that his father would soon be home.
So what, he got life or something?
He had life. I'm saying they passed that new rule in Chicago, that new law. So he'll be home in a couple of years, like 3.
And that's exactly what happened. On February the 12th, 2019, Big Durk is released from jail after serving around 25 years, winning an appeal that allowed him to commute his lifetime sentence and return home to his family. Lil Durk announced the return of his pops on Twitter, saying Big Durk home, and soon after that posting a heartwarming photograph of him out for a meal with his fresh home father. I honestly can't imagine how amazing that moment must have felt for both Big and Lil Durk. To have been separated from your child when they were only months old and spending a long 25 years thinking the only outcome would be dying in prison, before suddenly everything turned around and you would be released back to your family. I think it's a truly inspiring story, and honestly, it just goes to show you that anything is possible if you keep your hope and you keep your head held high. And even more inspiring than the fact he got out is the fact that Big Durk, as a free man, is now doing his bit to try and help the next generation.